Hello, my name is Dan Su, and welcome to Immigrant Island Dubplates. This is episode 2 on Immigrant Island, a podcast that reimagines what a certain legendary radio show would sound like if it represented the diversity of subcultures, communities, and stories that form these complex British Isles. As is tradition, though, we invite one guest to be our castaway on each episode. They handpick about 8 or 9 tracks to take with them on their desert island for company, and we get to immerse ourselves in some inspirational and often hidden histories. And today's guest is one of a kind, a musician, a storyteller, renowned for his independent spirit, working class pride, and his very special gift for songwriting. Born in Luton in 1991, he was raised by Caribbean immigrant parents on the Isle of Dogs in East London. And as a youngster he would see the likes of your Young Dizzy Rascals and grime culture itself emerge from his local doorstep. Inspired to pick up the pen and pad, he would jump on freestyles in youth clubs and eventually become part of Bomb Squad, a renowned MC collective in the ends. However, his teenage years were cut somewhat short when he ended up in prison twice, and during this time, a transformation perhaps took place. He first learned the guitar when his name was picked out of a very lucky hat, and he attended a music workshop in prison. And when he was eventually released, a woman he was dating brought him his first guitar, and he began moulding his trademark sound, which we call G-folk, which is a very distinctive personal take on folk music with East End tales woven in and honest songwriting that channels poetry, rap, reggae, and very much more besides. Since then, he has caught the imagination and hearts of a generation, and I'm sure many of you in this building, with his debut album, World's End FM, and a bag of incredible EPs. Counting the likes of Benjamin Zephaniah, Skepta, Mike Skinner, and Celeste, and many more as friends and fans, he has performed on Glastonbury festivals, Other Stage, our very own Rum Shack, headlined Somerset House, and even here at Royal Albert Hall for the historic Windrush 75. He once wrote in The Guardian, "I'm a 3-island man. My mum is Jamaican, my dad is Grenadian, and I was raised on the Isle of Dogs. The Isle was my corner of the sprawling metropolis that felt like my own. Built from strong working class community bonds, it was an island in an island." Later, also saying that the dream was lost when they realised that Britain wasn't great. Hak Baker, welcome to Immigrant Island Dubplates. How you doing, sir?
I'm all right, Dan. Thanks for having me. And thanks, everyone, for coming. People were smiling and that hugely. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Welcome back to the Royal Albert Hall. You might be able to... Is this your 3rd time on a stage here?
4th.
4th? Jeez. The Royal Albert Hall Auditorium is arguably one of the most impressive auditoriums in the entire world. When you stood on that stage for the Windrush 75... Did you feel like a big man or a small drop in that huge ocean?
I just felt like me. I just felt like I was just doing what I was supposed to do. I try and judge my life by laughter, really. And I go by that, if you do something great, you should laugh it into normality. And like if you do something like that wasn't too good and you failed yourself, you should laugh because you should forgive yourself and it's not that deep. So everything is just part of life and what you want, and if you want it, you're going to get it, and you should be cool with it.
And you're here. Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us. It's a real privilege to be able to speak to you here. The last time we saw each other was in a field at Glastonbury Festival. Like, that place was crazy. It was like the tent was levitating when you were on. And it was amazing because actually, you were obviously doing your thing, but, you're playing acoustic music fundamentally. But the energy was like it was a punk band. It was a really beautiful moment. So thank you for coming here. Now I think it's fair to say that what you're about to share with everybody here is a very well thought out selection. Even if you may not remember all the songs that you put on there just yet, but certainly it wasn't what I would have expected to see or to hear from you. And perhaps Tonight we'll see and hear a certain side of you that people might not expect. How was it for you picking the tunes?
Not that hard, because because I just felt like I like music, and when the questions were presented to me, I thought, what do I like? So I just kind of know what tunes I like, because I don't really like a lot of new music. So I just like, what tunes I like, and there's a playlist that's got like, a lot of my favourite tunes on. So I went, bum, 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 they're lovely.
Done.
Yeah, done.
So let's start getting into one of the first ones. So, am I right in thinking your mother's side of the family is from St. Elizabeth in Jamaica, which also happens to be where Benjamin Zephaniah's family is from, right? Which is a beautiful coincidence. And am I right in thinking that your grandmother came over in the 1960s without your mother, and then eventually your mum came over here to the UK? When did she come through?
When she was 17.
When she was 17. Yeah. So was that like the kind of 70s?
70s, yeah.
Did she give you any insight in what her kind of first impressions were?
Like, she didn't like it. It was cold. She hated it. And she thought she was coming on a holiday. So within 3 days, she had actually asked my grandmother, okay, when is she going back? And my grandmother replied was, typically Jamaican. She was like, when you learn to walk on water, that's when you'll go back.
And she was a social worker.
She still is. Yeah.
Amazing. Salute to the social workers, our heroes in the communities. And I mean, it was a busy household. There's 9 children and you were the 5th, is that right?
No, so that's including my mum and dad's children. And
Gotcha.
that's 7 of us. But like, our cousins from Jamaica came and my mum put them up.
So paint a little picture for us. So what was home like? Give us a bit of a flavour. What did it smell like? What were the sounds playing?
On Sundays, I think, was the best day when food was cooking.
What was cooking?
Could have been anything, you know. Could have been oxtail, could have been curry goat, you know. Could have been fried chicken and go on and them thing there, you know.
Of course.
Roast lamb, you never know. Yeah, but most of the time, or some stew chicken. Most of the time it was stew chicken, you know, rice and peas, little potato salads. So yeah, it was nice. Food was, you know, it was a time that when we was younger, we used to have a dining table and we all used to eat at the dining table, and I think those were the best times in my family home. But then work and money and stress and whatnot, my mum was working most weekends, so it depends what time, it depends what day, it depends. It wasn't the same every day.
Okay, and so the influence of the beloved Windrush Elders features heavily throughout your body of work, through your songwriting, through your interviews. It's clearly, obviously, really important to you. What have you chosen as the first song and why?
It's Bob Marley and Wailers and Who the Cat Fit. And Bob Marley's got enough tunes, like hundreds of tunes, probably thousands. And I feel like his hits are for different times and, you know, different things of what's going on, different times of the day, different days, all sorts. But then some of them have got like pretty serious and simple lessons, and he says it in very, very, very simple ways. Who the cat fits, let them wear it. People always reveal themselves to you. You will always reveal yourself to yourself. So wear your cap appropriately.
Nice. Well, let's hear the first tune, please. Thank you. That was Bob Marley and the Wailers, Who the Cat Fit, from 1976. Right, we're in this now, we're moving. So, moving on to the next chapter. Hak, you've spoken fondly about your upbringing on the estate, Samuda Estate, is that right? On the Isle of Dogs where you grew up, which, incidentally, was the location that Top Boy was shot when Netflix took over from Channel 4. So, your estate doubles as Duchesne's Manor, Summer House Estate. How different do you feel when you're on the estate to when you're not?
I carry my estate everywhere, so I'm always feel comfortable. So when I'm there, I'm comfortable. When I'm not there, I'm comfortable. I like comfort.
What kind of comfort?
Like in myself. I have to work hard for that. When I don't get it, it just things start to unravel. Then I have to like rejiggle things.
So you went to Seven Mills Primary School, is that right?
Yeah.
What were you like as a pupil?
I was smart. I just remember I used to I didn't like to sit still a bit, but work at that time would excite me, and figuring things out and writing stuff would excite me.
What subjects were you excelling at?
Maths, English, maths and English, creative writing from young.
Did you have an idea of what you might become or what you wanted to become at that point?
No. Just the things that people would say that I should do. But I never had a clue really what I was going to do.
But what else was going on around that time?
Mum was always have to do work. Mum was on us for homework, and Sundays we had to do our own training. She'd give us Black history books and stuff, so we know that we wasn't what was stereotyped on telly. So she was wicked for that. In my living room there was quotes from Nelson Mandela and Bob Marley's. We saw excellence from the day, even from my family and stuff. I don't have that detriment, that less than at all. I don't have that because of my mum. I mean, in year 7, year 8, I'm in a completely new zone. Everything's changing. I'd lived quite a sheltered life compared to I'd used to have to go in early. My mum was, so we'd have to get people to play at our gate. That's how we did it. And or go to Asda really quickly and leave the shopping bags in the shop and play out. But it was a change. Mum was working more, and I was finding out what being young and a boy in East London was about. So at any chance I'd get, I'd try and do something else.
I don't know if that might be a segue into the next track. What's the next track that you've chosen, and where does it put you?
Bone Thugs and Harmony, Friday.
Can I just say, I never expected that on this whole journey of Immigrant Island Dubplates that someone would choose Bone Thugs. Respect for that.
Yeah. Respect, brother. That was our era, man. Me and my brother, my sister used to have so much CDs, and me and my brother's favourite thing to do was to go in my sister's room and just run her CDs, all of them. You know what I'm saying? And we poured on Bone Thugs a lot, and Bone Thugs, we'd listen to that after school, from start to finish, on repeat every day. And
But Bone Thugs was different, right? Because so for people who don't have a context of Bone Thugs, so Bone Thugs was basically picked up by Eazy-E from NWA. So Bone Thugs was this new generation of West Coast hip hop. This was about the same time as Tupac and Dre and everything up, Snoop, everything that was going on. But they were so different because they sung so nice. But it was gully, filthy stuff, mostly about smoking weed, a lot of gangbanging, but ultimately they had the sweetest voices, multiple harmonies, it was all going on, but it was gangster rap.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy,
so
man.
So what tune did you choose?
Friday. It reminds me of when I had a flat from I was 15, and me and my mates used to watch Friday a lot. Them tune there and How High and them tune there. I'm in them films, and this tune was around, so.
Say no more.
That is what I was talking about.
That was Bone Thugs and Harmony, or specifically Busy Bone, from the Friday soundtrack, and the tune was called Friday. Now we're going to get a little bit deeper on this. So, as you know, we like to put in the work on this podcast. This is not a normal thing. So we spent some time with your very good friend Simon Wheatley. Now, you have a really rather unique relationship with Simon that lasts over 20 years. And he talks about meeting a 13-year-old Hakeem with your best friends Taylor, Crafty, your brother, outside a Roll Deep video shoot in Limehouse. When I'm here. What a video that is as well.
Yeah. You can see my leg in that video.
Is it? I'll be on freeze frame. And you invited him down to, correct me if I'm wrong, Alpha Place Community Centre, Lansbury Road Community Centre, which happens to be one of the largest estates in London, and Lansbury Youth Club, which I think is now Spotlight, where actually we used to run hip-hop workshops, as it happens.
Yeah.
Now, for those who don't know who Simon Wheatley is, he's a bit of a legend. He's the photographer who happened to document the very early days, the genesis, if you like, of grime as it emerged, at that point with no name, in the youth clubs of East London in the early 2000s. You might be familiar with his iconic anthology, Don't Call Me Urban, and the subsequent Lost Dreams. Now, in Lost Dreams is basically kind of a chronicle of your younger years, really, because you're the central focus of it. And the book Lost Dreams opens with quite a lengthy poem of yours. Is that right?
Yeah.
Can you remember when you met Simon?
I remember having the same kind of feeling he had. He was very curious, and I was always very curious. So I think that's why we got along. Because
he says that he wasn't sure about, kind of whether he was accepted into it. Not by yourselves. I think he was very accepted by you guys, but I think there was initial suspicion because he's an older guy with a camera. I think there was a suspicion of that. What was different which made you want to invite him back to the ends?
I think it weren't me at the time. It was one of the older boys, James. And James was a top boy. When he was in the ends and he was like, yeah, there's a photographer that wants to take photographs of us. So he was like, yeah, cool, sweet. Like, makes, those times this is about just hanging out. We was the kids that had a photographer, so we was the coolest. Do you know what I mean? And
these are some of the photos, and this is a very famous photo. In fact, this whole kind of contact sheet you may have seen before is often referenced, and that'll be you in the white cap, no?
Yeah, I remember those days. Vividly. My mate Tia went to New York and she got me that hat, and I loved it. And Cameron was wearing pink at that time, and I thought, Cameron from Dipsy, I was like, yeah, I'm going to emulate that. So, and those were the tights that I used to sleep into protect my cane rows. So I thought, yeah, I'm just going to wear that too. Why not? And now everybody's doing it. Everyone's wearing their headgear outside, but we were doing that, forward, do you know what I mean?
I don't want to say you're a trendsetter, but you know what I mean?
Nah, well, it's all right, you know what I mean?
So around that time, just for context, grime didn't really have a name. Sublo, Esky, what you call it, whatever. And many of these iconic photos of grime's history obviously feature you, as we've said, and your crew Bomb Squad. But I asked Jordan Stevens on the first podcast this exact same question, because youth clubs have a similar resonance to him, and he wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for that. So my question to you is, how were youth clubs, how important were youth clubs to you, to the man that you are today?
Very important, integral, I'd say. There's another way that I could say to my mum also that I could stay out because I was at the youth club, And it's just what you'd learn there. It's like where I first saw grime happening in Alpha Grove. My friend told me to come up and I saw it was Dizzy and Trim and my mate Tyrone. I don't even care, really. It's just not that I didn't care, but I didn't even know how important that was, the significantness of that. And although I know that's where I first saw that, and that's where we all got together. That's where I figured out what being like a young man was and got introduced to other aspects of community and different people. That's where the black boys and the white boys really crashed into each other and really exchanged culture and enjoyed each other's company, because it was still a little bit quite segregated when we was young. And then that was an integral piece of our unity. That's where we'd all go.
And would you go to youth clubs in other ends?
Yeah. That's what you used to do back then. We'd go everywhere. You go south, you go Essex. So we were from Isle of Dogs, but we'd go Bethnal Green and Hackney, Forest Gate. So.
And in them times, how was that?
You just had to have your lads in it with you. You have your crew, and then the crew gives you a barrier. It's a numbers game a bit.
Yeah.
And this intensity, eye contact. And,
own your space.
Own your space, you know what I mean?
Yeah, man. To kind of zoom out for a second, where will we be? Where would we be if we continue defunding youth clubs?
Well, I feel it's the direct correlation with the violence on the street. A lot of things could be sorted out at the youth club. There was members of authority and members of the community that was respected renownedly. And I remember situations where I got pulled into the room by certain people talking to me, having an argument with so-and-so, and nothing could happen because it was my Taylor's uncle was running the youth club, and my mate Vernon's cousin Tangi was one of the meanest women that existed probably in the world ever. Tangi said something, I tell you now, you ain't gonna, because she'd bang you out. It's as simple as this, is as simple as that. So, yeah, it was good. Like, you learned authority, you respected authority, you learned about other, you mix with people you wouldn't mix with. It just fixes things. You know, people that don't know each other, but they live less than a mile apart, now have an issue. Whereas people that didn't know each other, that lived a mile apart, would meet in the youth club and become friends.
And Simon said that you were really quite an entrepreneurial driving force within this. I mean, he said you were shotting CDs and sweets,
Yeah.
and whatever else. Like, do you feel like a lot of where you're at as a musician, because it's not easy being a musician, it's not easy being self-starting, comes from that, just this entrepreneurial spirit?
100%, and I learned that directly in East London, underdogs. Yeah, directly, that's where I gained that. Like, if you want something, you got to go out and get it. So I was doing that from 12. So I think what people find difficult in making music, in being independent and that, I don't really have, because all I know is get up and go and get it. Like, there's no other way. I didn't know about, me and my brother used to get 5 a week. People was getting 5 patterns a day. I know that I've got to put my own work in to hold something and achieve something. And some people, they just want it all on their plate and then cry when they don't get it. That's where we're from, 2 different places.
The hustle's real. Do you want to introduce your next song?
It's called All I Need by Air. It's a classic.
Yeah, why did you choose that for your desert island?
I feel like when I first started making music and stuff, like, again, like playing guitar and whatnot, like, I was really like just listening to like loads of stuff. There was a geezer that I met at the time doing whatever I was doing, a guy called Lee, like old school gentleman, black fella, but he's like had a corpulent catalogue of music that he was into, and he started showing me like different tunes and stuff, and I'd be like flabbergasted by him. And this is one that I'd obviously heard like throughout life, but not really taken advantage of. And as I started making my own music, like just kind of created my own sound, like these are the tunes that I would take a vantage point from, listen and sit down and go, oh, whoa, that's different. That's, you know, I'm really grown up with reggae, really, and dub and roots and pop, because of my sister, and rap and whatnot, slow jams. But then there's this other stuff that I didn't really listen to, but just heard like around as like a collateral sound. And then I just started to really take notice of it, and it was just kind of blew my mind, like where you could go. Like, it's like time machines. I could go back to a place. That tune, listening to that, made me remember Lee and remember driving about in his midnight blue Ford Focus, doing whatever I was doing.
Say no more.
Yeah.
That song broke a few boundaries for me as well. Like, the first time I heard that, because I was familiar with Morcheeba and a lot of that kind of chilled out movement, but Air hit differently. I remember when I first heard Moon Safari. So that was Air, All I Need, featuring Beth Hirsch from the album Moon Safari. So you dropped out of school at 15 years old, and unfortunately at 16 you went to prison.
Yeah.
And then for a second time, how old were you the second time?
19.
And that was for 4.5 years.
Yeah.
So that's a serious stint. You described prison as like a huge youth club, in a way. And your dad called it the school of all schools. Youth
club is like also like where you find out things are going on and stuff as well. And like when you go into jail and you get through like the preliminary stages and you either graduate or you don't. Obviously I graduated with flying colours. So once after graduation and like being the black Cockney dread guy with thingy and getting all, and like, but owning it, it put me in a very, very unique position because there's not really many people like me that they'd seen, a lot of people. So I had to take advantage of that, and I'd be funny and I'd make people laugh all the time, and it was laughing again is a key. Laughing's key for me. Laughing's key to me and my brother. Laughing's key to like a lot of people who I love with relationship. because it's just like a free escapism tool. I don't need no booze, don't need no puff, don't need nothing. Just giggle, and then it can change everything. So my best mate Taylor said we laugh in the face of pain. That's what we used to do, because when we were sad and things wasn't well and we was poor and stuff, we just laugh. You know what I mean? So we'd say one day we just ain't gonna be like this, and we'd laugh at a position, we'd laugh at a holes in our school trousers, we'd laugh at everything, we'd laugh. We'd still get through, you know what I mean? We'd laugh at how hard I was fighting for that 20 pence in scramble, because I needed that. For crisp, like, I needed that.
It's pretty well known that your name got drawn out of a hat at one point, which allowed you to attend a music workshop. Yeah. And so essentially you started to learn guitar in jail.
Yes.
Can you remember what it felt like to pick up the guitar for the first time?
I picked it up and I thought, this thing's cool. And it wasn't like until I took it back to my cell and used to look at it, because like at that time, just before I went to jail that time, I was really getting into like guitar-based music. I was really, obviously, always listening to like Bob and them and there, but I was listening to like Kings of Leon, and I was like, and I was like, I should really like this. And me and my mate Grubbs, the time we went to Asda, we bought this Kings of Leon CD. We went home and we laid on the floor, and that time the water was broken in the toilet, so water was seeping out through the floorboards and stuff. But we just got stoned and laid on the floor and put Only by Night, that album. I'm listening to it from start to finish. And it's a moment that really solidified me and Josh's. I love it.
It's funny you should say that. Asda was the first time I came across Prince.
You see?
Well, that CD section was wild, man.
It was wild back then, isn't it? I remember, yeah, and so like when I had the guitar, I was like, yeah, I really like this kind of stuff. You know, I'd got that album in somehow as well in jail. I got that album in, and I'd listened to it, and I was like, one day I'd say to myself, I'm gonna do something with that. I used to say that, and I'd just look at it. I think I'd got as far as I could with it in my soul, because the lesson stopped quite soon. So like I thought I did as much as I could, but when I come out, I'm gonna get on that again.
And what did you take away from, apart from guitar, what else did you kind of take away from that whole experience of being in prison?
Yeah, well, what we said earlier, with my dad saying it being a school of all schools, it is, because you learn about yourself and you learn about people, and you see it all happen there, like the highest echelon of usurpery, the highest echelon of hate, heartbreak, suicide, self-harm, people slicing their face off because of pain, because his girlfriend left them, things like that, And you just learn, and you just put yourself with that and figure out where you gauge where you are in life. And I found out a lot about myself and who I was when I was on my own, And I think I carry that with me, just like who I am, and able to do what I do, like on my own. I think I got the real strength from that. And it was always strength that my family and my parents had anyway, because they've always done things on their own, my mum, my dad, my grandmother. But in going to jail, I was like, right, you can handle yourself amongst, meek and villains. You find your pecking order and just cut through. So, yeah, it was a great schooling.
So the next song that we're going to listen to, I'll let you introduce it in a second, but just as a little bit of trivia, turns out that the next song was described by Michael Caine, no less, on his Desert Island discs as one of the most romantic songs in chill music that he's ever heard. So shouts out to Michael Caine. What are we going to listen to?
It's a tune called Swollen by a group called Bent.
And why did you choose it?
Lee, Mr. Midnight Blue Focus, driving around. He was listening to music, and he showed me this song. I was immediately bewildered, and then I showed my other best friend Lee on it, and he loved it as well. And it was just like, yeah, this is a great song.
So for a moment, picture yourself in a Midnight Blue Focus,
creeping around the East End, 1 a.m.
Yeah. Everything else with it.
Yeah, everything else with it, brother.
Let's go. That was Bent and Swollen from 2000 from the album Programmed to Love. One of the best parts of this job is listening to your music. your selection. That one, I remember hearing the first time. I liked it the first time. I've been in this song for the last few weeks, bro. So thank you for selecting that tune. So we've got one more song that we're going to hear shortly before we have a little break. But we're going to pick up the story when you got out of jail in 2016. And as we mentioned earlier, you were bought your first guitar by a stripper you were dating at the time. You describe learning to play the guitar by mimicking the song. Can you remember what song it was?
Daughter, Youth.
Why that song in particular?
Because I was in love with the past a lot, and I feel like she spoke about the flames of the past. There's all kind of illustrious and dangerous and lustful moments back in that I couldn't really get over for a while. And that song's kind of highlighted that enough, you know, not aggressively, just quite emotionally, you know. And I was obsessed with that song for a while.
Did that song eventually become a catharsis for that moment?
Yeah, 100%. I just listened to it from repeat and just blow my head off with Puff, you know what I mean?
And so by, you know, learning that song and starting to embody that song, it feels like there was like this crossover bit where you were mourning the relationship or whatever was happening at the time, but you were also kind of re-emerging, reborn, because you've got this new instrument, this new vehicle for your own voice. How did that feel, that transition?
It felt timely. After all the eventuals, it was like, this is what I'm going to try and do. I felt comfortable. I was all right doing something different because I felt like I've always done something different depending on what home I was coming from.
Yeah. And so by 2016, you also happened to reconnect with Simon Wheatley as well. So he's kind of seen you before and after. And I think he invited you down to a music video that didn't actually happen in the end, but it was obviously an opportunity for you to reconnect. And when we spoke to Simon about this moment, he talks about noticing a change from old Hak, in inverted commas, into a big thinker and a quieter soul. Is that something that you felt as well?
I'd always been that though. I just hadn't known how to like really explain that to the medium part of my friendship. I feel like my immediate part of my friendship group always knew that about me.
Obviously, you're at the start of your kind of music journey, and to just kind of hit, you know, fast forward a little bit. When did you start to notice that things were starting to happen, or you could actually do something with your music?
Because we, again, that attitude of doing things yourself, and I've got to thank and bless my friend Ali Blabla, who also instilled that energy into me too. We was talking about songs we was trying to create, and, you know, we were just playing a few gigs here and there, and then he just said, you know what, just put your own show on that. That's what we used to do, just put your own show on. So I was like, all right.
Where was the show?
93 Feet East.
Hey, nice.
And we sold it out, and we did it ourselves with tickets online and physical tickets, and that was our first gig that we ever did. And I just thought, yeah, that felt we can do this. This is just not a problem. And
then when did you start to feel that other people were starting to take notice outside of the, you know,
our friends and that?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know what? Honestly, it's when we put my first single, 7 a.m., like, it's weird because, like, when people were telling me what's going on, and it was being played on radio, it was being played on Radio 1 Extra, Radio 1, somehow. Well, I got a radio plug, but I didn't even know what a radio plugger was, and I actually did say it, so I was happy. It was world top trending, number 13 in the world, and Apple Music or Spotify, and then Ebro was playing it, and I was like, who is he? I didn't even know who Ebro was. And then I had to look, I was like, cool, that's all right then. Do you know what I mean?
That's crazy. I had no idea about that.
Yeah, that's what the first, it was just like very, very well received from the get-go. And that's just the simple reason is that I'm telling a normal person's story, where we outweigh the sensational media by X, you know. Mountains more.
Do you think that's what it was, that you just cut through all of the music industry bullshit because actually what you were saying was hitting here?
100%, but it just haven't been delivered like that, and I think the whole look and what I look like, what I sound like, what I was doing. I think all the juxtapositions was just hitting at the same time, and I think like it's people's stereotypes that really, and obviously the music was good. I just think the whole thing was just a bit bewildering to people, but that's sad that we live by such rules, you know. It was just to telling the truth.
Do you want to introduce the next song and explain what the thought process behind it was?
Yeah. It's called OK OK by Pino, Italian disco house legend. Passed away quite recently, actually.
Yeah, in July.
Yeah. And that music, going raving and that from young was always a release. I've always loved raving and different bits of like garage, house, whatever. But then disco, as I started to get a little bit older when I come out of jail, and it was like freeing, like crazy, like dancing. It felt old school. Like I wish I was born in the 70s.
Is that your previous self? My previous self was in the 60s. Yours was the 70s.
I think 60s, 70s, maybe just around the same, because I would like to be been born in the 60s and then partied into the 70s.
True, maybe I need to be born in the 50s.
Yeah, that's how you got to do it. That's me. So yeah, this is OK OK by Pino Diageo. Big tune.
So that was Pino D'Angio, and it was OK OK from 1981. So yeah, Pino D'Angio is an Italo disco legend. He sold, by 1990, he'd sold 4 million records. And yes, as you mentioned, he passed away earlier this year at age 71. When we were talking previously as well, you mentioned that reminds you of a tropical island, which feels topical. What is it about that energy that fits your island?
Because if I was on an island, people would find me and they wouldn't leave the island. It'd be the wickedest island. We'll
have to stop calling it Desert Island. It's going to be Ram Up Island.
Ram Up Island. I'm telling you, because we'll just be having a laugh and just living how we're supposed to.
Thank you, Hak. Can we get a round of applause for Hak Baker and his opening selection, please? So, we're about to step things up. We've got basically 4 more tracks to listen to and a couple of little surprises, and then maybe a proper surprise after that. So, without further ado, we're going to jump into this. It feels like London is a living, breathing character in your music. And so, if you follow that through, if London was a personality, what would it be like?
You're proud of that one, aren't you, Dan?
Yeah, man.
So are we. At the moment, I don't know if there's one word. I think it's impossible because there's so many different stages that London's at and what we're fighting against right now and what we're trying to still try and represent as a place where we held what we held dearly and as a display cupboard to the rest of the world, you know. It doesn't feel the same as how that felt when I was like 14 to like 19, 14 to like 24 maybe. It was just like, I couldn't think of, when we spoke about getting rich, I'd say, yeah, I'm going to get the penthouse over there at the back, you know, of London. The weird things, these penthouses that they keep putting up for, that no one even sits in or lives or goes in. Just, you know, what happened to the working class? What happened to the housing? Without the housing, I'd have been, can I swear? Yeah. Fucked, you know what I mean?
Oh, you can't say no.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, what happened to that where the country used to care about its people, you know?
Do you feel a responsibility to confront it head on through your music?
Yeah, 100%, because I know what it can be like. In the place that we grew up in, it was the best ever, man. What we didn't have, we just make up with like tenacity and imagination and togetherness. And that was being a byproduct of where he was, you know.
Do you think it's irreversible?
It's reversible, but we actually have to get together. Like we have to. Like, when has it not been as important to come together as people, as all the different colours that we have, different tones, everyone's mixing with everyone. It should be great, but it's like people are trying to stop that. Why? Like, it doesn't make no sense. It's like, just like borders don't make no sense. Just like all these rules that they put on you when you're born. I didn't even ask to be born. Why? How are you going to give me rules in that? Like, just let me be. I don't even want it. I don't know. I want to go, nah, Mum, I'm going to stay in here. I don't want to come out there. Do you know what I mean? Like, what's all the rules about?
Is that why pubs are so important to you in terms of places where people convene and can meet in the middle?
When I started going out as a kid, like 13, I grew up in pubs, sneaking in pubs, getting in pubs, seeing actually where I was from, finding out what was going on in the area I was from in pubs, and then imposing myself on pubs. You know how much I love it, how much. If you throw me out the front, I promise you, 4 minutes I'm going to be over the wall again. Just throw me over again. It doesn't even matter. I'll do this all night. Do you know what I mean? Because I loved it. And as we got older and we started to be faces in there, that's what we did. And I remember one time when we was about 16, 17, there's a photo that I have, and a geezer just come into the pub and he see all of us at the back, and it was black, white, mixed race boys. That's all of us together on this table, and the geezer just came over and he's like, "Can I take a photo of you lot?" And we was like, "Why?" And he's like, "Oh, you just look." And we was like, "Yeah, come on." And we still got that. It's my favourite photo. I think it's one of my favourite photos, and I've still got it. And it's just because, you know, we owned where we was from and we was comfortable, and we felt good. And
on that note, do you want to introduce what our next Desert Island piece is?
It's called Midnight in Peckham by HAK'S in the CBD. And I think these bloods are from New Zealand. New Zealand. And their tune's called Midnight in Peckham, do you know what I mean?
And they nailed it as well.
And they nailed it. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I thought, they done that. And because they've, you know, they got something, because what Peckham's going through right now is fighting for its identity also. And for them to be, and I think because they're New Zealand, they got like a native rural feel. New Zealanders are people that have been through the same thing. Local people being, you know, upstaged by the empire and whatnot, and still trying to hold on to who they are. Yeah. And same thing's kind of happening in Peckham as well, but obviously not to that state of being erased, but like, you know, the same kind of thing. And so they probably can get a different feeling and hear the whispers, and probably seeing London in a place where we probably like take it as an advantage. That mean like don't really see how special it is when it's how it should be. And these lads that's come from New Zealand and gone, of course, it's lovely there, and they've made it that. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, hence the tune. It makes me I feel like midnight in Peckham. Like, I creep round there. I creep round everywhere in London. People can see me in the randomest places. So I've definitely been in Peckham at midnight, you know, having it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you. So that was Chaos in the CBD with, of course, Midnight in Peckham from 2015 by some New Zealand guys. We're building towards our desert island. Now, you've built such a loyal following, independently, unapologetically, and this is undoubtedly what makes you such a champion of people's hearts and ears. You have a way, if I may say so, of articulating vulnerability that makes anyone who cares to listen stronger. But that takes a lot of energy off you still. And I think it's important to recognise that. What is it that gives you the energy to wake up in the morning and go again?
In my head, the whole reason why I thought I'm going to try, and because I was good at doing other things, it's just probably a bit more shysty. But, you know, I was always probably going to risk that, because I don't want to have a job. I don't want a 9 to 5. I don't want to go uni at this time. In later in my life I do, but like not in the moment. I don't want to be told what to do. I don't want to have to wake up at 9 for some, and be never. I've never ever even thought that was even in my head. I've never even thought about that, ever. I think it's because seeing my mum work like that, and seeing my sister work in McDonald's and do all that, and then seeing my cousins work in McDonald's and do all that. I was like, no, it's never going to be me. So I just feel like, but I'll take the energy, what they used, what I see, what it takes, and just pull it into what I want to do, like dream big. It's nice to like meet other people with my friends and stuff. We've always there's a few people that's kind of fell off as well. Like they stopped believing in the dream that we can live like a amazing life. I don't want to live a under par life. I actually don't. And I also want my mum to stop working. That's probably the first thing that in my head was like, that's the reason why I want to do is to stop her, because I've made her life hell when it came to it. and I let her down a lot. So it's that really, to stop my mum from working, because she needs to stop now. And it's come to this. This is not why it always started, but like, I'm just very susceptible to what I see and what goes on, and I want to be part of the change. And I want to feel like you don't have to be a slave for somebody else these days. It's very clear that that's an option. You can live your own life and believe in it, and you know, people, if you are honest, people will support you.
And that honesty is there writ large for everyone to see on stage. Like literally that ball of energy that you represent when you step on the stage, and that movement and that dancing and that exuberance speaks a lot. So I just want to ask you about dancing. When you're dancing with your lads, when you're dancing at a festival, what are you vibing to?
I listen to everything, I think, but it's got to be vibe. What we was talking, this vibe. I go towards vibe, innit? If I like the music and it's vibe and there's energy there, then I will go there.
So on that point, introduce the next track.
So this is like, again, raving when we was a kid, and like I grew up in the 90s and I was raving in the noughties. I was like 14, 15. We was in anyone knows Benji's Purple E3 back in the day, Mylan. I don't know if anyone knows that club, but it was serious and old school. And even in school, the parties that used to happen, we was introduced to like old school garage and club culture, and it was just like, oh my God, this euphoria is unhinged. Like, this is crazy. And so I always loved that element of music, and this one is real old school. It's by the future side of London, and it's called Papua New Guinea. And this, if you're a raver, you will know this too. Yeah, you know this one, innit? Yeah. She's like, yeah, man, I know them tune there. Yeah. She know, yeah, that tune, yeah. Right, can we play that serious tune?
Run track. Jeez.
Serious, man.
Wow. So that was Future Sound of London with Papua New Guinea, and it goes without saying that that is a genuine rave classic.
Classic.
Over 30 years old, and I would argue that most music in the same vein doesn't sound as good as that song. It charted at number 22 for 7 weeks in 1992. Shouts out 1992. And Pitchfork, no less, had the song placed on their list of top 200 singles from the 1990s. It is clearly a pivotal tune, and we've got another couple of tunes still to come. So, you've achieved a great number of milestones in recent years, especially for an independent artist. Grafted, you've made this happen. Your debut album, World's End FM, is already a cult classic. As we said earlier, you've performed at Royal Albert Hall 4 times. Somerset House, you headlined. How was that, by the way?
That was one of the best days of my life, I think.
That's beautiful, man. Obviously, you've played Glastonbury multiple times. I've always been to ask, it's that year that you played the Rum Shack. Someone told me that you played over 20 gigs at Glastonbury that year. Is that truth, or is that just kind of...
Complete bollocks. We'll hunt them down. We'll sort them out. Complete bollocks, yeah.
Do you remember how many gigs you played that year at Glastonbury?
At Glastonbury. Yeah. That was free.
Oh, okay.
Free, yeah.
Well, we're honoured. All the more for it.
I think Rum Shack, honestly, and my band will probably be annoyed with me, but that's probably my favourite Glastonbury gig I've done. I've done 10, I think, altogether. But that was my favourite gig. I felt like it was amazing. Actually, members of my family was in there and stuff. Better than the other stage, I think, for me, because that was like people that actually really, really wanted to see what we was up to came. And the other stage was like collateral and feeling the vibe and coming along and people saying, oh, it's the other stage, who's that person? You know what I mean? Like, I'm just honest.
Other stage is funny like that as well.
Yeah.
You've got people, basically en route to something.
Yes, and then they stayed, you know what I mean? Like, Rum Shack, you couldn't move, it was completely disabled, you know what I mean?
Thank
it was
God.
great.
That means a lot. So with all of this being said, Somerset House was a big one, Glastonbury Rum Shack was a big one, another stage obviously. Are there any other kind of milestones that you've hit, and even if they're not like, you know, really visible?
Strummerville at Glastonbury, that one was crazy. That was, again, the hill was locked off. It was madness. That was really good. And we camped there the old time as well. That was good. And they got the same vibes as you, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
They're like,
totally.
so yeah, that was good. I'll give it to them. That was good.
Is there anything that you're looking to do now?
Yeah. I believe that, you know, of like kinetic energy, people like vibing off each other. So I just want to get as much people as we can together one day, like 20,000, 10,000 people in the same place. And I guarantee, I think London would change after that because you've got enough chain reactions going. You know, if there's 20,000 people and they tell 5 people and then 5 they tell, I mean, there's enough. And it's only good vibes that we're preaching and love and togetherness. And something might happen, and I just want to kickstart that. I feel like I'm born to be here to kickstart some kind of change in London, because I'm not really afraid. The worst thing they can do, there's no death penalty here, send me into jail, and I've done that. So what they're going to do, send me back? They love me in there.
But truthfully, though, where are you happiest? On a big stage to thousands or tens of thousands, or a local pub to 30 punters?
There. I think I did a gig in Liverpool once in a pub, and it's probably one of my favourite gigs. And Working Man's Club, Bethnal Green, serious.
That spot's made for you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's like my first tour, and I still remember it. Like, it was unbelievable. People get to see you up close, to see that I'm no different from you. Do you know what I mean? There's no hierarchy here. I'm from the graph like you are. Do you know what I mean? Let's have a good time.
We've got 2 more tracks. Do you want to introduce the penultimate track, please?
Sun Kill Moon is the artist, and the tune's called Space Travel is Boring. And people, I feel that this is probably be the most unknown tune in the list. But Sun Kill Moon is, I feel, like a troubadour. He speaks a lot about his hometown in Ohio. And he's got this song called Space Travel is Boring, and it's about human nature, I think, because humans always feel like we want to go somewhere else. We always feel like we want to be blasted off to somewhere else to enjoy places, but really we're creatures of community, and I think he kind of encapsulates those facts with this song that he made.
And that was Sun Kill Moon with Space Travel is Boring from 2003. A couple of fun facts that I found out. So I didn't know about that tune. I know about Sun Kill Moon. He's got a huge, you know, kind of underground following. Did you know where his name came from?
No.
So Sun Kill Moon is actually Mark Kozilek of Red House Painters. And he named this version of himself after the Korean super flyweight boxer who was called Sung Kill Moon.
Really?
How about that? Other little tidbits is the song is a cover of an Isaac Brock track from a 1996 album, and Tiny Cities in itself is an album made as a tribute to the legendary indie rock group Modest Mouse. We're almost ready to cast you away. How do you think you'll cope on your ones? Are you a handy person? Are you going to build a Robinson Crusoe vibe kind of?
No, I'm cat-handed, it kills me. Do you know what I mean? But I'd learn. That's what I'd do, and then I'd build, and I'd be all right, you know. I know I'd be all right.
Can you cook?
Exquisitely.
What's your what would be your desert island meal? This is off script. So you've only got the stuff on the island.
Yeah. Then my mate, wicked chicken or oxtail soup, you know. All the thing them, the thyme, all them peppermint them thing. I mean, not pimento seed and them thing there. Yeah, yam, pumpkin. That would keep me.
It sounds filling as well. But
It is.
Would you get lonely?
Yeah, but then I could get over that. I know myself.
And in reference to what you were talking about earlier, and kind of to bring this full circle, it is obviously Immigrant Island Dubplates. We're proud to be representing the immigrants here and reframing that narrative. And I hear that you mentioned earlier that you're building a house on the land that was given to your mum by her mum in Jamaica. How's that process for you? I mean, sounds like quite a spiritual process, but how did you arrive at that in the first place?
I was supposed to be conceived in Jamaica, but my mum had a bike accident and she had to come home to make sure that I was born make safely because healthcare was better. And so I feel...
Whoa. So she got in a crash whilst pregnant?
Yeah, but then she had the accident, so she came to make sure the pregnancy went down flush. And then as an adult, I've been to Jamaica like a series of times. My friends parents are from Jamaica as well. Me and my brother love to go there. So it just feels like when I'm there, I'm just at peace. I don't really need to do much to just be cool. Just sit on a step and look out at stuff and just eat and just chill. Like it just feels like I'm definitely London eccentric, but like also when I go to Caribbean, like a different thing comes and I'm just all right being alive and quite still. Whereas when I'm in London, I'm like ping pong ball. So it's nice to get the antithesis of that. Antithesis, someone told me it said actually, yeah.
So with that in mind, that kind of duality in mind, where would you call home?
Earth is my home. Everywhere and anywhere is my home. It shouldn't, as I said before, I'm just a product of this thing. I wasn't born here under a series of rules. I feel comfortable everywhere. I think that's a skill and a blessing. I go on holiday on my own. Last year I went to Southern America on my own. I was fine, because I'm a man of earth. I'm a man of water, soil, and growth. I'm a man of just true reproduction, you know. And that's how I feel. I feel I'll be blessed anywhere I can exist.
That is truth. So we're going to enter the last track in a minute, but before you introduce it, as you know, with Immigrant Island Dubplates, the Dubplates is there purposefully and for a reason. But we've been speaking to a number of people, and we just wanted to play you a little message before you introduced the next track.
Hi, HAK'S, Janet Kay here. I'm so sorry I couldn't be with you tonight at the Royal Albert Hall. I really wanted to surprise you in person, but unfortunately I'm at a family wedding and can't leave. But listen, I just want to thank you so much for picking my song, I Do Love You, as one of the tracks that you would take on a desert island. Thank you so much. I wish you all the best for the future. Have a great night tonight. Bless you. Take care. Bye.
So yeah, that was Janet Kay. Real, live, speaking to Hak Baker on Immigrant Island Dubplates. How was that for you, seeing that?
You see my cheekbones touching my eyelids, get that? I'm a bit shocked. I'm definitely shocked. I can't believe it.
We're not messing about here, bro. What does Janet Kay and the next song that you're going to introduce mean to you?
It's everything, man. Musically, you know, I'm Jamaican in my heart. And my mum used to love listening to Janet Kay. All the time I remember listening to them. This tune is what my mum used to listen to, and she had a CD or whenever it used to come on Vibes FM on the selection. Just would turn up, and my mum has a hauntingly terrible voice, right?
So not Janet Kay,
not
City
Janet
Games
Kay
level voice
at all. Do you know what I mean?
Just checking.
But when this song would come on, she would just sing her heart out, you know, and I'd sing, and we'd all sing. Probably my sister might sing, my brother would smile and think, this song just reminds me of being like under my mum's chemistry, testimony, like under her arm, like being her son. This song makes me feel like that. So that was bloody amazing, and that's the testament of what Jamaican music has done in London and England. Just seeing that magnificent lady on the stage, you know. So thank you, Dan, for sorting that out. That's made me really happy that she'd even use her time to bless us. She's a cult legend of our culture. So I feel very proud to link it, you know.
Well, we are too, to do that for you. You deserve it, bro.
Thanks.
So, without further ado, Janet Kay, I Do Love You. That is the Queen, Janet Kay, with I Do Love You from 1978. What a beautiful way to cast your way to your own desert island. it's now time to send you away. Can you just give us a picture of what your ideal desert island looks like?
Gonna make a beanbag out of like leaves and just make it like of netting and whatever. I'm gonna get some strings and wood. I'm gonna make a guitar. I'm just gonna chill, make sure I keep fit, and then just, make some hooch. Make sure I'm nicely watered.
Whatever you can find.
Yeah, whatever I can find.
So I'm going to ask you 3 quick-fire questions, and then we're going to get to a little presentation. As is tradition with the original radio show, one book that you might take with you?
The Greatest Salesman in the World. It's a book by, I can't remember the geezer's name, but it's a great book. I've been listening to it, and it will keep me not a savage by the time someone comes to save me. And I would say, hello, sir, how are you? Let me get on this boat and let me get the fuck out of here, please.
Can I sell you a beanbag?
Yeah, I'd sell him a dinner, in my company.
One luxury or comfort item?
If I didn't have to make it, it'd be my guitar, innit? And that'll be it, really, yeah.
And we've added this one in. If you were to bring one physical music player, so a Walkman, a Discman, a record player, hell, you could go for a mini disc. What format would you bring with you for all of these tunes?
I wouldn't bring one because I'd make my own tunes on a guitar, but I'd just bring pen and paper so I could journal and write things down, and that would be it.
Nice. Okay. So, as you may know, we set ourselves a very tall challenge here on Immigrant Island. We tried to secure a dubplate version of one of your tracks. And full disclosure, we didn't manage to do it on this occasion. Not for want of trying, but I'm going to drop a little teaser, and we're gonna manifest this into existence, which is that we do have something planned with Janet at some point in the future with you, but you may have to wait until next June, and it may be in a field. That's all I'm saying.
Sounds good, man.
And you're like, whatever, yeah, sure. That sounds like you're kicking the can down the road. But yeah, we're working on something for you. And if you're listening to the podcast online or wherever it's at, follow us up for updates, because this story is going to get interesting. But we do have some gifts that we wanted to share with you. So just bear with me a second. I'm just going to walk across the stage. And in our trusty little box, so fun fact, this used to be an Apache helicopter first aid kit that was repurposed into a record box. And we have a couple of things in here. One is a signed book by our very own Yomi Sade, this mannerism.
Thank you, Yomi. Appreciate it. I was going to ask one of these anyway.
We also have a bottle, which I know you've been enjoying, of Cromanti rum. Yeah, this is the tamarind. This is the tamarind version. And just for a bit of context as well, this is a Black British-owned rum, so shout out. And Cromanti Kojo is a drummer captured and exiled to Grenada during the Second Maroon War. And as one of the Cromanti people, Kojo was well aware of how important natural ingredients of the land were in providing healing and sustenance, which I expect speaks to a lot of your life in Jamaica as well. We wanted to give you that. So thank you to Cromanti for that. And we did get your records, right? It's not a dubplate, but it is one of the tunes that you've chosen. And because the cover is so damn good, it had to be. So we've got one of the original 1981 pressings of Pino D'Angio's Okay. Shipped over from, I think it was shipped over from Italy, actually. No, this one's the French edition, but it's an original, so this is for you, my G.
Thank you so much.
Enjoy. Have you got a vinyl player at home?
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay, and so this brings us to the end of Immigrant Island Dubplates. Could we get a round of applause for our very special guest, Hak Baker? Thank you. My name's been Dan Su. You've been listening to Lyrix Organix, Immigrant Island Dubplates. Thank you.